Hello and welcome back to 2025. As I'm sure you haven't left it, I am here, as always, with the last remaining user of the Jeremy Renner app. You know him probably better as Trent. How you doing?
Doing good. Ready to do our Variant Cast 2025 bingo card.
Bingo. Let's get it. We went ahead and each did half of it, so I have no idea what Trent has put down for this. I don't know if we're gonna be doing it as real bingo or we're gonna just see if the bingo card hits here. Who knows? You'll just have to.
We're just gonna just check in on it, maybe at the end of the year or maybe throughout the year, and see if we got things right or wrong. So it should be fun, should be interesting, and I'm excited to see what you think is gonna happen this year, Ty.
Yeah, I kind of tried to switch it up, go in different avenues. I could just predicted a bunch of Rotten Tomatoes scores or a bunch of box offices. So I tried to, dip my toes in different facets of the industry here.
Yeah.
So without further ado, I guess we just start revealing some spots. Obviously, we got the free space in the middle, but what do we got here?
Yeah, let's just start at the top. We got Dwayne Johnson controversy.
Oh, right. That's one of mine.
So you think that the controversy is going to surpass the piss water bottles this year?
I think it's going to be very akin to that. I think one of those. I think he may, because the piss bottles is vaguely fetish. I think we're gonna have another vaguely fetish thing from this guy. He's getting up there in age where dudes like this start to get really creepy, and he's also been unchecked in terms of power and what he could do on a set. So I think we're gonna get just more and more of that as he gets older and older. And I think it does surpass the piss bottles. Who knows what it's gonna be? I don't think we're gonna get into furry territory or anything like that, but maybe some other bodily functions. I'll leave that up to Dwayne, though.
Yeah, I think he is filming the next Fast and Furious movie this year. So
that's prime territory.
My guess is if anything, that's prime territory where that's going to happen. So be on the lookout for that. Definitely when he's shooting the next Hobbs and Shaw movie. So go ahead and get on to the next one, which is, I believe that Thunderbolts is going to get an 80 plus score on Rotten Tomatoes, which I was thinking about going higher, but I was mostly just thinking that I think this movie is going to be more well received than people think it's going I think it's going to. So
yeah. With that, I put that Superman is going to break the box office record for a DC movie, which is currently Batman v Superman, which had 166 million opening week. I was originally going to do just the box office record, but then I forgot that China loved Aquaman for some reason and it made over $1 billion. So I didn't want to quite go that far. But I do think it's going to have a big opening week. I think Superman's been out of theaters for long enough, and this is a completely different vibe of what we've gotten in the past. So I think general audiences will be inclined to show up to this one.
Yeah, I think so. Too. And yeah, I think it's definitely got a shot at breaking that record. So next one is Chris Nolan's movie. Next movie is filming. We just heard that it's going to be an adaptation of the Odyssey, which is an old Roman tale. But I think that mostly what I was saying here is I think that one of the actors is going to get injured or something on set, and they're going to have to delay the movie, whether it be Tom Holland, Matt Damon. One of them's gonna get hurt on that set, and the movie's gonna get delayed. So
with that feels like almost a given at this point. But hey, who knows?
I don't know the track record of people getting hurt on Chris Nolan sets. I know that if Michael Caine it comes back to a Chris Nolan set, that chance increases. So we'll see about that.
I just put the Fantastic Four is gonna do $1 billion in the box office. I don't know. I think we're ready. I think audiences are ready to go back to theaters. I think Pedro Pascal is going to carry the box office for this one. Who knows, though? Who knows? Could underperform. I don't know how many of these we doubled up on. I do know one already that we kind of doubled up on, but we'll see as we go through this.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's slightly different. So there's a possibility that yours hits, mine doesn't. But I think that this is probably the most anticipated Marvel movie going into the year. And I think if anyone has a chance of hitting the $1 billion at the box office, it would be Pedro and the Gals and Guys.
Yeah, I believe that Fantastic Four and Superman come out like a week apart from each other. So, I think that that's definitely going to be the month of movies this year, and that'll probably be the time where the movie theaters are packed. So, gonna love to see that. So I put that The Last of Us season 2, the TV audience is not gonna be as ill warded towards The Last of Us Part 2 as the game was. So I believe, I don't know what makes me believe this, but I believe that, generally the TV audience won't get as mad about the second part of Last of Us as much as the game
Yeah, I
audience
think
did.
there will be a little bit of a little something. You're gonna it's definitely gonna be a topic. But I think you are right. I think the audiences are different. I think there's a lot of people in The Last of Us TV audience that have never even played the game.
Yeah.
Well, there definitely is, and I feel like the same people that were criticizing the lead actress. I'm blanking on her name right now. Anyways, a lot of the people that were criticizing her and like just how she acted and stuff. I feel like those people were like the game audience in a way, if that makes sense. If you guys know the Last of Us game audience, there's still like a subreddit that's like active that is just dedicated to hating on this like 5+ year old game at this point. They are very dedicated haters, but I think so much time has passed that there was also like an opening for changes. Maybe there's some changes that people like, whatever. But I think you're probably right about this, or maybe you're wrong and it's going to be worse received. And the rapture is going to be caused by The Last of Us season 2. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Very simple. I think this one's as close to a free space as I can get here. Just Marvel director leaving a project, which I don't know if we've gone a full year without a Marvel director leaving a project since the inception of the MCU. Who knows? There's probably been a year, but I think this one's pretty safe. I feel good in this one here.
Yeah. So, I mean, who do we know that's developing movies right now? We got the Russo brothers. We got. Is there even a director attached to Blade? Probably not. So
I think there's also potential of a director getting attached like within the next 2 months and then leaving all within the same year.
Exactly.
So it's like not even something that you need to pay too much attention to, like who's currently doing a project, because they'll probably come in and leave within this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is Avatar 3 is going to be a critic hit, and it's going to be hailed as the best Avatar movie to date. So the next Avatar movie is coming out this December. It's a basically fire movie. So they did Earth, they did water. Now they're doing fire, and I think that I don't think there's going to be an Avatar fatigue. I think that audiences are going to keep coming back to James Cameron's universe, and I think it's going to be a hit.
I do think there's something with it being fire. I think you could do a lot of things with 3D there. I think audiences kind of work in like a cycle when it comes to 3D, where it's like, oh, 3D is so amazing, and then it gets oversaturated, and then everyone kind of starts being like, I actually prefer not wearing the glasses when I go to the theater. And then film comes around that has, such like hype around its 3D that it reinvigorates audiences into the novelty of 3D. I think this very well could be that movie, especially with the whole fire gimmick. I put a prediction that it's kind of the opposite of it. They both can still hit. We'll get to that later, though.
Okay.
So this was mine. I think that Thunderbolts is very hit or miss. So again, it is different. You did 80%. I did 85% or under 20. I think this very well could be one of the worst films in the MCU or one of the best. Who knows? I think we just know very little about it, but the concept is fairly interesting. And when you have a concept like that, it could be something that's hard to execute, and we could end up in the cellar, or it exceeds expectations. And we got a little hidden gem on our hands with Thunderbolts. So 85% or under 20 for that one.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. So my next one is that George Lucas is going to come back to Star Wars in some capacity. So whether it be, he directs an episode of some Star Wars show, or he comes in as like consulting director for the next Skywalker trilogy that Lucasfilm wants to do. I think that he's due for his time back. I think that the fans want him. I think that him not necessarily overseeing the whole thing would be good. And him just having a little bit of creative input on the direction might get some of the fans that have left back on board. And I think that they're, like I said, they're coming out, they're wanting to bring back the Skywalker saga and continue with Rey. And there's their last couple shows haven't necessarily been hits, and this could be just the thing that they need to get people back in their good graces.
Yeah, I'm with that. I don't know if Disney would hand him a movie to direct. I think the most likely thing in my mind is he gets like a co-writing credit on, like you're saying, one of the newer films or something, just so like his fingers are in it. There's that hype with the fan base of like, oh, we're going back to real Star Wars boys, and it's probably going to be fairly minimal input. I don't think he would sign on to it if it was just like a credit and nothing else. So he'll have input for sure if this does end up happening, but I think it would probably be in a smaller capacity. But I'm interested in what that looks like. I'm really interested in what that looks like. So I'm for it. I'm for it.
Yeah.
Wicked Oscar sweep. So that's going to be coming up. We don't know the nominations just yet, but we assume that Wicked is going to get a bevy of nominations for set, for makeup, for sound, all of that jazz. I think it's going to take home over 5 of them. I'd be surprised if, it got anything less than 4, but, we want to be bold here. If you're going to call it a sweep, we got to call it a sweep. So over 5 here.
Yeah. And, I totally forgot it. I didn't know where I was going with that train of thought. But I definitely agree with you that I think Wicked's going to do really well at the Oscars. I think Best Picture is maybe a lock. I might have that as a lock. But yeah, I could definitely see him doing a sweep at the Oscars.
Feels like it came out at the right time. So feels almost...
Yeah, it was perfect Oscar season timing. And yeah, like the spectacle and everything, I think caught the general audience, as well as the storytelling aspect got the critics excited for it. So
also just being
all that
a adaptation from a screen, like a show like that, I think that gives it more credit when it comes to the critics and the Oscar committee. Like I think they're all a bunch of nerds. So if you take something from like a Broadway show and adapt it, I think you're automatically going to get some brownie points with them.
Yeah. So I think that we're going to get a lot more DC castings. So I think that we're after Superman, probably. I'm assuming Superman is going to be received well. I think they're going to, start kicking the DCU into high gear and start announcing a Batman, Booster Gold. We already have a Green Lantern, but maybe a Wonder Woman that, like the Supergirl actress, they kind of get announced ahead of time, and they give them a year or two to bulk up and get into the physical appearance of the character. But I think that we're definitely gonna get some more DC castings for this new universe this year.
Yeah, this feels like almost a given. I think you're right about the timing. It's probably going to come while Superman is 3-4 weeks into the theaters after presumably a nice box office. Then just start announcing all of these projects. I think there's maybe not project announcements, but definitely filling in those cast gaps. And we might get some more like just straight up film announcements of what's actually next down the pipeline. So should be an exciting time for DC fans, or a absolute travesty depending on what side of that aisle.
Yeah. So maybe I put 2 of mine here, but so the public gets on board with the Gollum prequel. So Warner Brothers, they're developing a new Lord of the Rings movie. I feel like people are very divisive on it. They don't really know how to feel. Peter Jackson is back on board, so he directed the original trilogy, but there's always like, why is there any need to go back to that universe? But I think that something's going to happen, whether it be, like a first look something, or maybe they get what's his face back as Aragorn, something like that. I think people are going to get back on board, and by the end of the year, people will be excited for the Lord of the Rings prequel.
Yeah, and I mean, I just got a statement about the Lord of the Rings fandom. I'm not in it. I don't quite understand it. Feels like they hate movies that come out or just any projects that are announced in the universe, and I can kind of understand like wanting the sanctity of the films that you watched to like stay there, and I can get that concept, but like those films don't change. When you're raising your son or daughter and you want to show them the Lord of the Rings films, you get to choose which ones. You could show them only the ones you watched and be like, hey, these are the only films. Like, you don't have to acknowledge the other ones if you don't want to. They exist, and for people that want to enjoy them, I think that should be a thing, I don't think we should put a lid on a universe, put a lid on a franchise just because the previous ones were good. I think there's a lot of garbage being made in Hollywood, and people can make that point a million times about how everything's a sequel, everything's a remake. But these are new stories wanting to be told. Like, why don't we just let them happen? And if it's bad, it's bad. And if it's good, just, kind of chill. Maybe chill. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm taking Snow White being fresh on Rotten Tomato. I think that I was going to put that it would be fresh and then rotten as an audience score. I think it being rotten as an audience score is a given at this point, but I could see it coming in with like a 70 to 80% best case scenario. I don't really understand the drama around this one. I know that the actress of this is kind of like the new Brie Larson in terms of like...
It's so weird because like I feel like there's like all parts of the internet like hate like there's people from every part of the internet that hate Rachel Ziegler, when there's like, when there was just, some, I guess it was the same with Brie Larson. I guess there was people in every corner that were being like, Brie Larson sucks, but
she's kind of Brie Larson plus though. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Like she has hate from not just like the right, like Brie Larson did. She kind of has hate coming from all directions, but I don't think that's an indication of her acting ability. Maybe it is. I know that's how some people feel. But I think critics generally take a step back from that stuff. And I could see this movie being well received despite kind of the audience anger towards a Snow White film, which is just kind of funny to say to me.
Yeah. So this one, I said something happens to silence the Snyder Cut / Ayer Cut fans. So whether it be, Superman comes out and there's like a screening with James Gunn, Zack Snyder. They have like a I don't even know what it would be, but I just feel like there's a possibility where there's a reality where the Snyder Bros just give it a rest.
I think the only thing, few things that come to mind is like just Zack Snyder getting a project in the universe. Like if they give him, not Batman, I don't think he would ever give him Batman, but something, and was like, hey, this is Snyder's corner, like a Man Thing. I don't know. Actually, I don't think that's the right. What is the?
Or he wants to do like the Authority.
Yeah,
or
something like that. Just give him that. That would silence them. If you just release the Ayer cut on like HBO, that might silence them. Probably not. I don't. It is like such a small section of people. Like in reality, there's probably like 50 to 100,000 like Zack Snyder guys and like 10,000 Ayer people, but they're loud. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if you can silence them because this is like part of their personality at this point. But I
just being loud and just wanting to yell about the Snyder Cut and the Ayer Cut.
But I appreciate the optimism. This is one. I was just thinking about who's on this cast. We got Vin Diesel, we got Bradley Cooper, we got Chris Pratt, we got
Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, we got a multitude of people that could face a lawsuit, and I just, I think once you kind of get out of the, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was very much like a send off. It was all cheery and really, I guess, uplifting in a way for everyone on that cast. Like, hey, we got to finally put an end to this, and now they can just go out and be wild. I think Vin Diesel might already be facing a lawsuit, but if the lawsuit existed prior to 2025, doesn't count. So these are new lawsuits, and I just throw one in here. We'll have some legal troubles for someone on that.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you got a lot of people to choose from. So, and a lot of like different type, like a lot of different like archetypes of people. So
yeah, different lawsuits. They could be a multitude of things here.
Yeah. So this one, we start to see a downplay in biopics. So right now, I think there's probably like 20 to 30 biopics in production at this point, and I think that after this wave of just like a biopic like every month, I think that towards the end of the year, you'll start to see, maybe not as many be put in production.
I don't know. I don't know about this one. I think there's a chance that audiences start to tire of it, but they are fairly cheap to make as far as a like movie is concerned. And they also capitalize on Hollywood's favorite thing, nostalgia. So you could do time periods that people are nostalgic for. Right now, it is the 80s. It'll soon shift to the 90s in the next 10 or so years. It already has kind of shifted to the early 90s in terms of like nostalgia farming. And they're just such an easy nostalgia farm. I would be surprised unless people start having like a vitriolic response to a biopic, which could very well happen. I think there's a good chance that this is just a part of our society, and it's like just almost every month we're getting a biopic release.
Yeah, well, you're probably right, but I like to dream.
So yeah, this was mine. That kind of look, ours could coexist here. This is just about box office, and a flop would be, I think, under $1 billion. I don't think there's any scenario in which under $1 billion happens, but I would say if it was 60% of the other two, I think you could call that a flop. This is less of a prediction and more of just, hey, wouldn't it be funny if? And I can kind of see this happening.
Yeah.
I think the likelihood, it's more likely that it does well, but this 2025 slate is probably the best movie slate in, I'd say, 3-4 years. Just like from memory, obviously last year we had writer's strike and we've dealt with the impacts of COVID just in the 20s. So I could very well see just the saturation of the box office, maybe get into Avatar a little bit. Who knows? Obviously didn't affect them back in 2009, but we'll see here.
Yeah. I think that I think that it could go either way. People, like I said, people can get sick of it, but we'll see if people have the Avatar fatigue and if they want to keep revisiting the same characters basically doing the same things.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it could be hailed as the best in the series at the same time as flopping. So
yeah. So I put that we reach at least 750 subs.
I would hope so.
I think that this is a reasonable number.
Yeah.
We're sitting, I think, 185 right now. So, that's only like 500 more subs. So
on the surface, it sounds like difficult, but in reality, the first 100 subs from everything I've heard, that's the hardest. You just gotta get off the ground here.
Get over the hump.
This year we're gonna be hitting like our 2-year mark. Granted, we don't upload a ton. It's not like this is our full-time gig or anything like that. There's been months where we've only uploaded like one video for the whole month, stuff like that. So we're hitting our 2 years here. I think 1,000 is very reachable. I appreciate anyone that listens and watches these, and if you do want to help us with that, feel free to subscribe. We do this for fun, just to kind of talk about movies and stuff like we did when we were younger. Now we live a few hundred miles apart, so it's a bit harder to do. So this is a nice little outlet for us, and we appreciate anyone that listens along and gives their input there. So if you want to help us with this bingo, feel free to slide in, hit that subscribe button, and check out some stuff.
Yeah.
So this is the Legend of Ochi. I was a little upset when I saw this came out in February and it wasn't on the preview. I've seen it in theaters.
What is the Legend of Ochi?
I've seen it in theaters. It's an A24 film. And the reason I did 100 million is the box office record for an A24 film is 111 million. I was going to say it breaks that. There's not like a whole lot of hype for this movie, but I think it's really cute. I could see it doing well if it is released internationally. It kind of watching it as, it's very like nationally ambiguous from just like what I've watched, which I think fare well internationally. It's got my boy Willem Dafoe. It's got Finn Wolfhard. We got a insane cast. Budget of only 10 million, so probably needs to make about 50 to 60 to be a profitable film. I think it does that with ease. It's coming out at the end of February. There's not going to be much competition with it. I would have liked if it got like a Valentine's Day release, because this definitely feels like a film you might bring your girlfriend to. So
yeah,
might be slight knock on the release date there, but depending on the theatrical run, it's really hard to tell when it comes to A24 movies how long they'll actually be in theaters. But I think this one, it appeals to a pretty wide range of audiences. It seems like a fairly mature film, but at the same time, there is kind of cutesy CGI, cute little creature vibes going on that you could probably take like your 8-year-old to, and it wouldn't be super traumatizing for them. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think generally for the A24 movies, like if people go to see it in the theaters, they'll just like they'll keep releasing it into theaters and keep having it in theaters so that people watch it. Much like they did with Everything Everywhere.
Yeah, which currently holds the record. So we'll see if that can fall. Civil War got really close, 106.
Yeah. This movie's also competing with Captain America in Paddington, so we'll see if it gets there.
Hey, we'll be all right.
So this one I said that much like the Someone in Guardians of the Galaxy cast faced a lawsuit, I think that somebody's going to die in a Mr. Beast video. I think that there's going to be more controversy surrounding Mr. Beast, and I think that whether it be on his TV show or in one of his YouTube videos, who knows? I think somebody's gonna die.
Honestly, it's pretty impressive now that like mentioning it that someone hasn't died already.
They probably have, honestly. They probably just had to sign like an NDA.
So yeah, who knows if we'll even know this, but we'll make sure at the end of the year to dig into this, see if anyone has died. I'll even count if someone had appeared and then died. So unless they were like 90. I know he does those like aged 1 to 100 videos, so those probably wouldn't count.
Oh yeah,
but
those have probably killed a few people, to be honest.
Yeah,
people lose like 100-year-old losing $500,000
unless they die on set, then it counts. If a 100-year-old dies on set, then that counts. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Zootopia 2. I put over 1.5 billion in the box office. I got we got lofty box office predictions, but with how good Inside Out 2 did, I think Zootopia is honestly a much bigger franchise in my head for like the cultural impact. I feel like Zootopia, the first Zootopia, left on people. I think that this one is going to do very well. I think a lot of the fans of the first film are, they got their own money now, so, or supposedly they might still be living with Ma. I think this movie does very well. I think 1.5 billion should be pretty easily obtained.
Yeah, let me look up to see how much Moana 2 made.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna have like a cultural impact. Like there's gonna be a meme from this movie. Feels like almost a given. Something comes of this.
Moana 2 is almost at $1 billion. So I could definitely see Zootopia, at least crossing $1 billion. I think that it'll definitely come close. If it does reach over $1 billion, I think it'll get close to that 1.5 mark. So we know that we said that Sony says that the Spider-Man spinoff universe is done, but I just have a feeling, I just have an inkling of a feeling that Sony's going to be like, hey, guess what? We're doing a Rhino movie, starting a new universe. We said that we're done with the old universe, but guess what? This one's going to be a grounded Joker style version of the retelling of the Rhino origin. So strap in, get ready, and coming to you next next Valentine's Day.
Yeah, go ahead and show my next one. So I put Sony can't help themselves in small parentheses live action Spider-Man project right next to each other. So
nice.
This bingo really does hinge on Sony not being able to help themselves. I think we all just kind of expect it. I think in my head it's Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire. They're going to throw him a bunch of money. They're going to throw Sam Raimi a bunch of money. Be like, make Spider-Man 4. We don't care what you do. And it's going to get off the ground. Either that or The Amazing Spider-Man. One of the two. I think there's a very high probability those get announced this year based off absolutely nothing, just vibes. And then other than that, I think, like you're saying, they're going to want to start a new universe. They're going to pick someone to be their Venom. They're like, okay, we did this with Venom, Venom 1, Venom 2, Venom 3. We need someone like the Goblin. Just the Goblin one. It's something like that. Yeah. Starring Jeremy Allen White. I'd be there opening day to watch The Goblin starring Jeremy Allen White. Let's make it happen. Rated R for some reason and just grotesquely gory. Let's just do it. And I think, if we want to hit this bingo, like a solid 10% of these bingo possibilities hinge on this Sony project happening. So we have to be activists here.
Yeah, you'll see me campaigning. I'll be outside of Sony headquarters tomorrow if you want to join me picketing and making sure that we push to get that Jeremy Allen White Green Goblin movie made. So
I'll be in Amy Pascal's emails for the next leak, just emailing her every day, maybe just with like crude AI movie posters, just sending her one every single day to just keep it fresh in her mind. Don't let her forget about it. Don't let her move on. I don't know if she's even in charge of making decisions anymore, but I think she has a contact with someone, and whether it be, hey, can you get this guy to stop emailing me Jeremy Allen White AI images? That would be great. So hopefully we can get there. I'll go ahead and get a myriad of different emails so she can't just block one, and we'll make sure that this gets off the ground personally.
Yeah.
But that's the bingo card. It's
yeah.
It is a interesting one. We doubled up in a couple areas.
Not too many though.
Not many. No, we did a good job. I was trying to do some weirder things, so we wouldn't. But I think this, we only have one true like double up. The others like possibly can happen. Only one of them. So this is what happens when two people make a bingo card without communication. And
I like it. I like this concept, and maybe we'll do some rankings or something like this in the future.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate everyone for watching. If you want to be part of making one of these bingo cards happen and you don't have Amy Pascal's email, feel free to subscribe if you want to help us get to that 750, which is our goal for this year. My personal goal would be the 1,000. It's right there. And once we get rolling, we'll get rolling. So if you are interested in being around for that, feel free to subscribe, give us a like. Anything does help, and we appreciate everyone. You got anything? Sign us off, Trent.
Thank you all for listening. I hope that you guys all have a good 2025.
Appreciate everyone. Have a great one.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Have a good one.